Hi, this is Emma Foulkes along with...
This is Andrew Snorton, and Happy New Year to everybody out there. Hope you guys are coming off of a great holiday season.
Welcome to Timely Talk. We're excited to be here. We're very glad that we're here and that we can breathe. I heard, Drew, you were under the weather just a little bit?
Yeah, just a little bit. Like the whole last week, I don't know what was going on, but thankfully I've got my appetite and my energy back, and I know that you... Like you said before, breathing is fundamental, and I'm glad that you're able to take advantage of the fundamentals.
Yeah, the fundamentals. It's weird when you can't. For a couple of days, I started feeling a little weird. You know, I was watching the news, and like the first, I would say maybe 3 to 4 stories was boom, boom, boom. You know, this person did this person did this person, negative, negative, negative. And the people that they were showing were people that look like you and I. So I can speak a little Spanish, so I'll watch, Univision from time to time. And I looked, and it was the same stories, but the first few stories of, showing who did, committed crimes, it wasn't people that look like us necessarily.
So what did you notice from what you saw in Jacksonville and what you saw in Univision?
Well, it was both the Jacksonville and it was here. I did both because I noticed it when I was in Jacksonville, stuck in the hotel. And then when we came here, I noticed the same exact thing. So in Jacksonville and here in Atlanta, the first few stories were, people of color, and I'm going to say African Americans. We don't know what their nationality is because they look like us. We come and watch Univision. They were, more Latin or Latino looking. And again, I hate using that generality because we're going by skin color because we have no idea what people are, right? Just by looking at them, you don't know. So that was just kind of, it made me feel, I would say it made me feel sad. It made me feel sad because I think of, like a lot of stereotyping that people have. Yeah. And when I hear people say stuff and I wonder, well, where is this coming from? Now I kind of know where it's coming from. And have you watched, I don't know.
I'll be honest, I cut back on watching the news. Mm-hmm. Part of it is what would get me frustrated is the first 5-10 minutes it seemed like it was focusing on issues of crime. In the majority of the cases, the issues of crime were people of color, African American. Okay. Every once in a while it would sprinkle in some other groups, but the majority of the time it was focusing on African American people. And it would make you believe that that's the only group that does a certain type of crime. Now, we know in reality that's not the case, right, without getting too statistically deep.
Right.
But for people who don't take time to research and they just take what they see on television, that's very scary. So now all of a sudden, here you are going about your business, and then someone will just look at you in a guarded manner, or they'll clutch their... And I'm like,
have you gotten that in the... Did you get that today?
You know what? I didn't get that today because of my attire.
Okay.
And because people have seen me in the building.
Okay.
But it's scary how people get a lot of their impressions based on what they see on the news.
Right.
And the news tells part of it, but it doesn't tell all of it. But if people don't take time to do a little bit more research, it can be very scary. It can be very nerve-wracking.
But we don't do a lot of research. And when I think about the news, I look at the news as a place where I'm going to get information that's true and good. Like, I don't think that I need to look at the news and then go research anything else.
Well,
does that make sense?
Yeah, because some people they assume that the news is looking at reporting the facts and whatever numbers or whatever data that they give, that they're doing the same level of research as, let's say, your social scientists or your your planners or what have you do it day to day. And what a journalist does research-wise is not to the same level or same degree as people that actually work in that field. It's two totally different things.
Yeah, but again, and call me naive, but to your point, I was thinking, man, are black people the only people committing crime in Atlanta? Atlanta has, Atlanta proper and with, all the counties we have over, I believe, 6 million people. You can't tell me that 85% of the crimes being committed are by black people and that 15% of the crimes are being committed by white people and Latinos. Like, I know Asian people, I know everybody like commits crimes.
But you know what?
So where are they? Why don't we see that?
That's just basic common sense. When you have that many people in one spot, you know a little bit of everybody's doing a little bit of everything.
We're human, dude. We're human.
But some
we're
people,
human.
but you make a good point. Some people don't take time to think. And what they will do is, well, because I saw it on television or I saw it on the internet, it must be true. And that's not always the case. You have to do a little bit of digging. Like, even basic research tells you with crime that, number one, crime is due to proximity, meaning in general, the people know each other or they live in the same neighborhood. And regardless of the ethnic group, the majority of cases, the victim and the perpetrator are going to be the same.
Right.
So black folk, who do they generally victimize? Other black people.
Right.
White people, who they victimize? Other white people. It's the same for all ethnic groups.
Yeah, Asians, Jewish
but
people.
the problem is when you look at the news, they're not to the same level or same degree showing violent crime in white communities or violent crime in communities of Spanish-speaking background or Asian background. For whatever reason, when we're looking at these types of, let's say, violent crime, they're focusing on one group. And that is kind of funky if you really sit back and think about it.
Yeah, and then also think about, the children. I know Andrew does a lot of work with kids, and and I was thinking back to why I don't watch the news at my house, and it was because when I was raising my son, and I had to go back and think about all of the things that I did and why, and it's because I didn't want him seeing that. I didn't want him hearing all the murder stories and being afraid, but I had forgotten about who they show as criminals. And so if you're raising
I mean, I hate to say it, but they were showing cases where it were younger people that looked like your son. So now all of a sudden, your son is getting targeted when all he's trying to do is go about his business.
Oh yes, he
and
loves
that. and like you said, in allusion to working with younger people, that's one of the things that we have to point out, that unfortunately, because of what we said earlier, people do limited research and get what is just put out there instead of digging a little bit deeper. That group of 2 or 3 gets targeted like it's 10 or 15 people hanging out at the mall or going to a place to eat or going to a restaurant. Even if they're walking on the street, it's assumed that they're up to no good, versus you don't know if they're walking to a friend or family member's house or from a family member or friend's house to and from work or something along those lines.
If they're walking down the street, are we giving them the benefit of the doubt? And if we're not, are we doing the same for everybody else?
That's a very good question.